Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to my YouTube channel of Sacred Heart Awakenings. I have a message that I was intuitively feeling to share with you. So some of the questions that will be answered throughout this video is what makes us want to be in a relationship? And what is it that keeps us being attracted to toxic or unhealthy relationships? And what makes us also stay in a relationship knowing that it no longer is compatible with us, or it feels like it's dying? So in this video, I would like to talk about the romantic relationships and how all of that is related to the questions that I was just asking as a reflection that I want to review in this video. And I was intuitively getting a message from Archangel Michael, who wants to share a message related to all this. And it's a message about letting go and letting God. And so he wants to emphasize this point with all of us, with you, with me, of course, as a reminder. And just, towards the end of the video, I will share more about his message with us. So I do feel that, I feel that those who are watching this video in particular do have a connection with Archangel Michael. So that's why I was feeling this important message to be delivered from Archangel Michael himself to you. So for those who don't know, I am Monica Bermudez. I am an intuitive self-love, energy healer, spiritual teacher, and counselor. And so just to share, my personal experience and story with my romantic relationships. And I'm so focused on the whole heart as, repairing it and so forth, like I did with myself. I wouldn't be here right now doing this public videos and having my YouTube channel if it wasn't for my super intense triggering moment of my own divorce, as well as the intense dark night of the soul that followed after that. And I could tell you that it's not an easy feeling. It's very heartbreaking. It's just emotionally draining in so many ways. It just does not make you want, it didn't make me want to be here anymore here on earth. So the one thing that I was getting the impulse, obviously, that my relationship was definitely dying and that we weren't compatible anymore with each other. And but I was so afraid to leave because there was, this whole thing about judgment from others. What will others think? And, and also there was an aspect of the failure. And so I was afraid of failure. I was afraid of others' projections and judgment. And there was just so many fears that were just coming up, and all of this tied to my own disempowerment, my own unworthiness. But I was getting this message that it was time for me to really just pull out, and that I was being urged and pushed into a different path. But at the time, I just didn't really feel that there was anything else for me to do. When I went into this whole dark night of the soul, it was very intense. It was depressing. It was a huge heartbreak for me, what felt like a really strong heartbreak. And so I just felt really like didn't want to be around anybody either or anything. And in some ways, I disconnected myself from even my own intuition and my higher self, because in some ways I was angry for, having gone through that experience. But later on, as it turned out, there was a reason. The reason was, for me going through the experience was an actual realignment that I needed to do to put myself back into. So I had kind of like derailed from the path that I was really meant to be. and that I had learned, lessons that I needed to learn from that, which I've taken, so much experience and um, learned from doing so much energy work on myself. Mainly, light language was one that really started to, because I really wanted to dig into certain karmic and ancestral patterns as well, and really start to break free from attracting these unhealthy relationships, because that moment that I divorced was such a triggering moment that it just made me reflect on all the relationships before that I've never really had a healthy relationship. So that's what made me question so many things with the heartbreak and the whole toxic attraction and the unhealthy and unfulfilling relationships. So I said, I no longer want to have these patterns. So that's when I found the light language that started to help me break free of so many of my patterns, and learning from so much that I started to connect more with my own source connection, and led me on a path that I am right now sharing my experience with you, and letting you know that you too can also have this for you if you're going through some change in your relationship at the moment, that you feel that is dying or is no longer fulfilling your needs, as far as maybe there's some other higher calling of some other soul purpose that you have coming up. And so speaking of soul purpose, Archangel Michael is all about purpose, soul purpose, that is. And as Archangel Michael has explained, we do have several soul purpose, and then we also have major divine mission, the bigger ones that we're going to fulfill here on earth, that we have soul contracts or soul agreements to do as well. And so that's why he wants to share this message with you as far as regards to relationships and letting go and letting God, which in other words means just trusting the process of what's happening, and trusting the universe, and trusting your higher calling and your higher self. So one of the things that Archangel Michael has been telling me or teaching me is that, and which is what I want to share with you, with regards to relationships, is that when you feel that a relationship is actually dying, or you feel you're being pulled in a different direction, that's because your soul contract or your soul agreement with that person, it's coming to an end. And so whatever role you have had with that person is it served its purpose during the process that you needed to learn from a certain experience or lesson. Or it could be also that you may have been derailed from your other paths as well. And in my case, I was derailed, but there was also some other lessons that I needed to learn from karmic patterns. And one of the biggest ones was this whole thing with unworthiness. So really, if it wasn't for that divorce, I wouldn't really be here talking to you about it now. And so that's why I also needed to go through that process myself, so that I could share my story and help others to also get out of, what you're feeling, that you're not alone in that process. So back to Archangel Michael's message about that, is that really is just has to do with the soul contract, the soul agreement of something that is just being is ending or is being fulfilled. So you will feel that you no longer need to be with this person. But what's happening is that when we let fear step in, and you get into this whole like being afraid to make the change because of all these other factors that I had mentioned in my own personal experience, that they just get in the way and they block you from talking to your higher self in your well, what I call the I am source connection of your own being. And so then you feel alone, you feel scared, you feel afraid. And because you don't know what will happen at the other end of that end. And all of that, all these fears come up. um, it may be different reasons that will pop up. And I have a video that talks about the distinguishing the difference between the ego and the higher self. um, so I recommend it, to distinguish the two. But when it's a higher self, it's in a more loving, guided voice. When it's, of the ego, or the one that, the lower vibration or lower self, it will just show like all these fear blocks that come up and all these reasons for you not to leave. And it's almost putting you in this stuck, you feel stuck in this state. It's like you can't even, like, you don't want to move forward because you're afraid to make those changes. It could be financial, and it could be, having the kids, and so many reasons that just pop in your head. And believe me, from my personal experience, I had all sorts of fear come up. And mine was mainly about my own doubts and my own unworthiness, and, perception and judgment from others, and and also the fear of just being alone and being lonely. So the changes that you're being called to, and back to, Archangel Michael's message, embellishing it a little bit with my own personal experience and the message that Archangel Michael was sharing here with you, is that you're, in some ways, of course, you're being called to serve in a different role, in a new soul contract or soul agreement that you need to fulfill, or go into that path, or a new journey. So really, that's really what's happening when it comes to this feeling of, feeling that the relationship is dying. You should definitely listen to your own body, and listen to your own, as some people say, your gut feeling of, that something is definitely turning into a different direction. It's like being in the sea, on a boat. And that's what I'm seeing visually now, being shown like a boat. And you're heading towards a specific destination with someone in this direction, right? But then you get a different guidance, or a different a gut feeling, that if you go down this path, there's a storm in this one journey or this destination on the way. And you're being asked that you pull out into a different direction, so that you can get a clearer and more concrete, of your next journey into your next soul contract and your own soul agreement. And so that's what I'm understanding from the message that I'm getting from Archangel Michael, is that you could think of, the storm that you're in, if you're in a dark night of the soul, as, being in the sea in this huge storm. And because that's really how it feels. And your higher self is telling you to go in a different direction. But, part of us in our own fear just blocks us from getting the clear guidance that we need to put us back on a path that is more natural and more aligned with our own soul purpose and our own soul contract and agreement. And so it's a matter of letting go and letting God. So just trusting that gut feeling and that message that you're getting. And believe me, I know it's tough, because I went through it myself, and I was being stubborn in my own way. It's my own ego getting in the way of, the messages that I was getting, in the direction that I was going. So I was cutting myself off in so many ways, and getting in the way, in other words. But it's really just letting go and just trusting. But when I later, started to let go and just trusting whatever was happening, I just went with the flow, and all these synchronicity and magic and miracles started happening in my life. And part of that was finding the light language that helped me heal, but at the same time, it also activated my own light language, which I channel as part of my practice to support my clients with their own karmic and ancestral patterns in them. And so I am so grateful for that service and that support as part of my divine mission, which I now share with you that you also have that potential as well to do all of this and much more, as Jesus would say, Ascended Master Jeshua, of course, and Cosmic Master Jesus, or however you may refer to him. So the other thing that Archangel Michael wants to share about the heartbreak, when we are getting out of a relationship or about to make a change, or we just got out of a relationship, it does feel like a heartbreak. And it's not really that the heart is broken. What really is happening is that you have disconnected yourself from your own source connection or your higher self. So, in essence, it does feel like a heartbreak, because you're feeling alone and you're feeling that you don't have anybody to support you. And it's that source connection that's just disconnected from you. Because it's mainly due to those fears and those emotions that come up, which are, emotions based on fear based of something that you don't know what's happening, why, this relationship may be drifting away, or why, this happened to you. But what's underlying all that and that whole dark night of the soul and that whole storm is this other different path that you're on, that you're meant to be in this journey that you're going to with this new soul contract, this soul agreement of your own soul purpose and your divine mission. So it just becomes like some form of spiritual awakening that you're going through this whole process. And I could think of, the dark night of the soul as being in a cocoon of this, it feels very dark and just feels like nothing's there, is no light. But it's really like you're going through this transformational process that you just, and at the other end of it, you will come out as a butterfly, this transformed caterpillar into a beautiful butterfly. And you as a human being have the full potential to make these changes and get through these, relationships, romantic relationships, if that is the direction that you're being guided. So Archangel Michael wants to remind you that you're not alone, and that if ever that you feel that heartbreak, or you feel entangled with your emotions in your heart that are connected or energetically tied to someone else still, because there's also this part of codependency of someone else loving you, and feeling that's the other reason why you're afraid of being alone, is because you feel that you won't have anybody to love you. So in a way, it becomes like addictive type love from external, or codependency, where you feel that somebody else needs to fill you with their love. But in essence, it really just comes from within, which is another thing that I really started to build on myself, to really build that foundation of self-love inside of me. And you're fully capable of doing that. So Archangel Michael is reminding also, to letting you know that if you do feel yourself that you are in this heartbreak or some form of energetic entanglement with someone else in your heart, to please feel free to call upon Archangel Michael for any type of energy support with cutting energy cords that may be tied to someone else that are not healthy. And in fact, when we are in a romantic relationships, we get so many energy cords entangled with that individual, especially when it's an unhealthy one or a toxic one. You have like all sorts of energy cords tied, interconnected, and it will just bring you down energetically in so many ways. And even like your aura just feels like, something stuck there. And I know, like, when I went through my divorce, I felt like I had all sorts of energy cords all over my place, especially in my heart and my solar plexus and in my arc field. And so I had to do so much of that clearing. So I do that as a daily practice now, where I use, I gratefully use Archangel Michael's support in helping me cut any of those energy cords. And so that's why Archangel Michael wants to remind you of that, to help you with cutting those cords, and just also reminding you about letting go and letting God, and just trusting the process that's happening to you. And just know that the minute that you let go and you allow that trust, you're also allowing your guides and the angels and your own source connection, the universe, to have your back. And it will put you in alignment on the path that you are meant to be. And you have the capacity in you to do that in so many ways. So just, keep the course, and know that you are supported. So just wanted to relay that message from Archangel Michael, and knowing that you're not alone in any way. And you are so much loved in so many ways, and held, and so much support from the universe. So that's I welcome any feedback or comments or questions you may have in the comments section below. Share your story, if you like, with me. I would love to hear from you and connect with you. I also want to offer a free gift, 9 Signs Your Heartbreak is a Spiritual Awakening. So you could look in the section below in the description, and you'll find a free gift there. But that's a guide as to my own past and what I went through from my dark night of the soul, and what it meant was really going through this spiritual awakening process, which all tied into the whole soul purpose of what Archangel Michael was just talking about in my own personal experience, of course. And I know for a fact that Archangel Michael was the one who had been trying to communicate with me in so many ways, but I was the one being afraid of so many things that came up, so much doubt, and of course the layers of the unworthiness that had to do with karmic ties as well. That junk that I may call, that was coming up, was kind of like making it so fuzzy and blurry that I wasn't getting the clear message, and I was getting in the way. But eventually I just, once I started to let go, I started to just get more in alignment with my next journey of my own soul contract and soul agreement, which is what I'm doing right now, and sharing this message with you with so much love. So just a reminder, please subscribe to my channel. I will be posting more videos, messages like this one, and so many other channel or guided messages that I may get from my guides. Archangel Michael is one of my guides, and I also have a very special bond with him. And I feel that those who are watching also have a very deep connection with Archangel Michael. So thank you so much for your time and watching this video. So just remember that when you're in a path that has so much resistance, or you're getting the gut feeling, then you should definitely pay attention to those signs that are coming up. You want to choose the path that is less resistant, or the path that is synchronized in alignment with your own soul purpose and your own soul agreement and soul contract. And your higher self knows everything about you and your own soul, and it will like manifest through the body. You'll get certain sensations and feelings, which in some cases, a lot of people call it the gut feeling, but it's really the intuition that that's talking to you, your higher self, and telling you that it's a different direction, it's a different course, direction of journey that you're being put on. And of course, you know, there's so much fear that comes up, but just remember that you have so much support and you're not alone in this journey. And you know, all your guides are there with you with so much love. So just remember to stay connected with them and reach out to them through meditation or journaling in so many ways that you could connect with them. And I am sending you so much love. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to connecting with you in the next video. So much love and take care.